Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The President of Nigeria to visit these shores for Emancipation Day celebrations. Digital textbooks to soon be introduced into the education system. And plans to boost the economy through short-term incentives will take precedence in the upcoming budget presentation. Thank you for joining us. President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, will visit these shores in time for Emancipation Day celebrations. Announcing the visit, local government minister Dr. the Honorable Suraj Ratan Ramachan, filling in for Foreign Affairs Minister the Honorable Winston Dukaran, said the Nigerian president will be accompanied by his wife and a contingent as they look to establish business linkages with Trinidad and Tobago.
Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan will visit this country to mark Emancipation Day celebrations on August 1st. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor will play host to the dignitaries and will facilitate them in the various events carded to commemorate Emancipation Day celebrations. The announcement was made during the weekly post-cabinet media briefing by local government minister Suraj Ratan Ramachan, who is acting for Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Dukaran.
President Jonathan and the First Lady of Nigeria will arrive at Piako International Airport to a formal military guard of honor. The President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency George Maxwell Richards, as well as our Prime Minister and members of Cabinet, will welcome their Excellencies on arrival to Trinidad and Tobago. Through
this visit, it's anticipated that linkages in trade and commerce will be established.
During his visit, the President of Nigeria will also hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Persad-Bissessor and members of her Cabinet. At these discussions, trade and energy-related matters will be discussed with a view to further developing partnerships between the two countries. We note that the President of Nigeria has also expressed a desire to have air links between Nigeria and Trinidad and Tobago.
During the visit, the President will take time to meet with Nigerian nationals living here in Trinidad and Tobago. Minister Ramachan adds the invitation to the Nigerians were based on the role they played in attaining freedom and independence.
We have to understand the role that countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and so on have played alongside Trinidad and Tobago, especially in the 60s, when there was a whole new wave and momentum involving even then our father of the nation, Dr. Eric Williams. And to have a president of one of those countries be with us for emancipation celebrations, I think it will be a very joyous and symbolic occasion.
Over 70 persons are expected to accompany the Nigerian contingency during their 3-day visit to Trinidad and Tobago. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Policies are being put in place to deal with the distribution of funds to various groups for national festivals. So says Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism, Dr. the Honorable Lincoln Douglas. He was speaking as he revealed the Emancipation Support Committee will receive $4 million for this year's Emancipation celebrations.
The Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism is immediately seeking to confirm a number of policies to make our involvement with these festivals a lot more fluid and consistent. We're immediately working on getting clear the multicultural policy that deals with how we interact with each other in this nation, a cultural policy that deals with the value of our culture and its intrinsic purpose in terms of forging a nation for us, and also a policy on the disbursement of grants and subventions to various organizations and cultural groups. These policies, once clarified and made open to the public, we hope will eliminate much of the hesitation and provide a smooth pathway for assisting and supporting the various organizations doing cultural work in Trinidad and Tobago.
Arts and Multiculturalism Minister Dr. Lincoln Douglas says the policy will also seek to guide cultural groups in their application for state funding and set up eligibility criterion. He adds that state funds cannot just be given to persons or groups with no accountability required.
That's the purpose of the cultural policy and the grant disbursement policy. It would determine the size of your organization, how many people the event is for, what kind of accountability should be put in place, the level of funding, the level of responsibility that you now owe us for reporting as well as for an audit. All of these things will begin to put in place, because as an administration we cannot go on just distributing money without accountability, without some value in terms of advancing the cultural policy of the nation. So hopefully once we get all of these policies lined up, it will make it much easier to work and collaborate with the groups.
Minister Douglas, in seeking to give a time frame for the implementation of the policies, reveals consultations are to be held soon.
We're immediately setting up the consultation. All of them exist in draft form right now. It's a matter of putting them out to be discussed by the communities and then to be confirmed. And I suspect that should take us into the first month of next year or so.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Before 2007, what we had existing in the Trinidad and Tobago Police was a manual system where the information were placed in books and ledgers. With the introduction of CAPA, all information now is being placed on computers.
You will see how we have been redeployed so more of us can take to the streets on 2 legs and 4 legs, on 2 wheels and 4 wheels, on land and in the air, with the aim of not only fighting crime, but working to prevent crime before it happens.
The initiative itself is focusing on our core services, that being responding to calls for service from the public and being out in the community patrolling to ensure that there is a high level of safety and security within the communities, within the neighborhoods that our officers are patrolling in.
Our dads aren't the only ones who beat up on kids. Sometimes kids beat up on kids.
Every child has the right to be protected from violence, abuse, and neglect.
Because I shouldn't be afraid to go to school or play with my friends.
Because no child should be hurt by adults or by other children.
Because safety is my right. Stop the bullying.
Welcome back. Digital textbooks that will serve as additional resources to students will soon be introduced into the education system. This was unveiled by Education Minister Dr. the Honorable Tim Gopi Singh, who says through this, it's expected that the overall costs of textbooks will be reduced.
Students can look forward to receiving digital versions of textbooks. Education Minister Dr. Tim Gopi Singh says it's one of the many initiatives on the cards for the upcoming school year. He says introducing this method will reduce the overall cost of textbooks.
The ministry has begun to explore initiatives for the acquisition of digital resources where they are available, and in that regard it is expected that the overall cost of the provision of textbooks by the ministry will be reduced over a time period by the purchase of digital resources. In addition, work is underway to bring on stream a digital portal which stores all the information for the students for infusion of the curriculum with ICT. And this is expected to increase access to digital resources across the school system.
The minister says textbooks will be provided to all students from primary to secondary school level.
For standards 1 to 5, the government will be providing textbooks in 5 subject areas again, namely mathematics, language arts, reading, science, and social studies, and 1 dictionary for students of Standard 1 and 1 atlas for students of Standard 3. All students entering Form 1 will be provided with an atlas, a Spanish dictionary, and an English dictionary to be retained by the students up to examination level.
Through this, parents and guardians will not be required to purchase books, as the textbooks will be distributed under the textbook loan program to the various schools. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
In other news, Minister in the Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration, Senator Mbao Mohini, says one of the aims of the ministry is to create a sense of pride and patriotism among citizens in this country who no doubt have much to be proud of. Senator Mohini was speaking at the Tobago Cultural Committee Awards, where Minority Leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, Ashwa Jack, also spoke.
Senator Mbao Mohini is boasting that Trinidad and Tobago is one of the wealthiest nations in terms of the tremendous talent and diverse cultures of its people. He's also urging persons to appreciate and value this unique wealth. He was addressing the scores that gathered at the Tobago Cultural Committee Awards.
We as a community have to learn to treasure the wealth that we have. Our wealth does not lie in the oil beneath the earth. It does not lie in the fertile soil. It does not lie in our industry. The wealth is in our people. And we have to show that appreciation for our people, who have shown year after year that pound for pound, Trinidad and Tobago can match and outmatch any country in the world in terms of talent and intelligence.
The minister is also assuring that steps will be taken and measures implemented to ensure that citizens are granted equal opportunities throughout the country.
That ministry is about you. It's about our people. It's about diversity. And we intend to utilize the diversity in our country not to create discord or division, but as a strength. And diversity does not only mean difference along ethnic lines, along cultural lines, along religious lines. It is also in terms of age. It is also in terms of geography. And what this ministry intends to do is utilize that diversity as a strength. Because when we want people, we are able to draw on the richness of our diversity, our cultural differences, and what have you, as a strength for our country.
More so, the minister says his ministry will be working towards instilling a stronger sense of national pride and appreciation among citizens.
We are responsible for creating a new sense of patriotism. That as Tobagonians, we won't only get up and say we love Tobago, but we'll show a commitment to it by how we relate to each other, by how we lift ourselves above the pettiness, by how we would strive to be a more cohesive and united society.
Also addressing the award ceremony was Minority Leader in the Tobago House of Assembly, Ashwa Jack, who is commending the Tobago Cultural Committee for its great work and commitment in keeping the culture alive.
It is more than just the celebration of a decade of excellence. I think we should be celebrating you based on the commitment, the stick-to-itiveness, the hard work that you would have put in to ensure that the culture is where it is today. And Jack, let me take the opportunity to congratulate you and to thank you on behalf of all of us in Trinidad and Tobago for the magnificent work that you have been doing in the last couple of years.
Verna Barath, News 4.
Wayne Cunningham has a sport report right after the break.
A Homosapien. We'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homosapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your water bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it.
Trinidad and Tobago put in a clinical performance as action continued in the Caribbean Football Union Under-17 qualifying tournament. Following an impressive win over the British Virgin Islands, the young Warriors came up against a formidable Suriname outfit, but they took care of that challenge. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights from Couva.
Action in the first round of the Caribbean Football Union Under-17 qualifying tournament for the 2013 World Cup in the United Arab Emirates switched to the Atto Boldon Stadium in Couva, where Trinidad and Tobago faced Suriname in Game 2 of a doubleheader. National senior team coached by Hudson Baba Charles was on hand to take in the proceedings, as well as the members of the national Under-20 team. Both teams shared the honours in the opening minutes, with most of the play being contested in midfield, coupled with a few sights of goal. The opening goal was a bit of good fortune for the home team when Kishon Sicharan's tackle was deflected into the Suriname's goal to make it 1-0 TNT. Good fortune also favoured the visitors, as their equaliser came via an own goal, as the Warriors defender slapped this shot past his own keeper. Following the equaliser, the locals got a host of chances at goal, but only succeeded in puncturing the night sky. That's until 5 minutes from the halftime break, when Akil Garcia employed an expert piece of finishing to put TNT 2-1 up. Take a look at this again, as Garcia curls it expertly around the keeper to take a slim lead into the dressing room. The lead got a little padding 5 minutes after the break, as the keeper fumbles Jabari Mitchell's team shot to make it 3-1. It looked like 4-1 after Brent Sam rose above all others and headed goalward, but his effort cannoned off the upright. TNT started to turn on the style as they went in search of further padding. Ikem Andrews with some deft skill. Andrews also had a chance with time winding down, his shot just brushing the post. TNT keeper Stefan Sipasad also saw some action in the final minutes, as he was called upon to charge down this attempt. But there would be no further scoring in the match, as TNT virtually booked a place in the next round with a 3-1 win. In Game 1 on the night, the BVI suffered another heavy defeat as they went down 13-0 to Guyana. Franklin Parks with 5 and Captain Jermaine Fletcher with 4 were the big scorers for Guyana, who faced Trinidad and Tobago on the final night of competition on Saturday at the Hazley Crawford Stadium from 7 p.m. Suriname, who faced the BVI at 5 p.m, still have a slim chance of qualifying, but TNT must lose big and Suriname must win big to leapfrog the locals for the lone spot to the next round. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news after the break.
Carjacking has become very prevalent in recent times. Certain makes of vehicles are more preferred targets for criminals. When approaching intersections or junctions, ensure that all doors are locked and windows are wound up if possible. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Reporting from communities across the country, people are calling Nalis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nalis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently abled. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nalis website.
Nalis is my library.
Welcome back. Plans to boost the economy through short-term incentives will take precedence in the upcoming budget presentation, counted for later this year. Now, this was the assurance to the business sector Finance Minister Larry Hawaii gave members of the various trade and commerce chambers as he met with them in pre-budget consultations.
Recognizing the need for more short-term initiatives to be implemented if this country's economy is to see continuous growth. Finance Minister Larry Hawaii says government is working on this challenge in the upcoming budget. His comments came as budget consultations continued, this time with members from the various commerce, trade and industry chambers.
Looking at how we move forward in the short term, I mean, we recognize there may be some incentives that we may have to give to the private sector in order to ensure that you achieve the objectives that we want to see you achieve, which is to continue to grow business and contribute to growth in the economy. And therefore, we recognize that there may be need to do some things on a short-term basis. But at the end of the day, our focus is creating value at all levels. And secondly, ensuring that value that is created is equitably shared.
Responding to concerns regarding increasing revenue, the minister says finding ways in which the economy could grow without expenditure cuts was crucial to this government's plans.
How best can we increase revenue? And, because I always believe that it's better to increase the size of the pie than just to focus simply on shrinking parts of it. I mean, certainly there are parts of our operations that need to be more efficient, need to be more effective. But you don't shrink yourself into growth. Growth comes from growing the top line, growing revenue, growing business, growing the economy, and of course, therefore, growing the take that we get from that.
Minister Hawaii has vowed that these recommendations from the private sector for the 2012-2013 budget will be taken into consideration as he charts the way forward for the next fiscal year. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Minister of the Environment and Water Resources Ganga Singh is assuring employees in his ministry that their concerns and issues will be addressed via regular formal meetings. Speaking at an employment forum at the Center of Excellence in Mokoya, where various bodies, or that should be bodies, under the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources gathered. Minister Singh says meaningful discussions took place in a bid to move forward in charting the right course.
Minister of the Environment and Water Resources Ganga Singh says his ministry is overlooking some 8,000 employees. As a result, he says his ministry has a mandate to integrate the various proposed strategies across the board and enable the various departments of the ministry to function effectively.
I think cumulatively, with the 4,794 workers in WASA, the 2,600 plus in forestry, the 1,000 workers plus in drainage, and all the other agencies, we have close to 8,000 employees in this enterprise called the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resource. So the human capital is a significant component for us. And how do we marshal that? How we integrate that? There are synergies across the board between the various agencies. And we intend to utilize that in order to carry our appreciation of what is required of this ministry.
Minister Singh says his approach is to implement a system where regular talks are held with the various employees of the organizations which fall under his ministry. This, he says, is an effective method of making workers more comfortable in their environment by allowing them to have their concerns aired during the dialogue sessions.
Now we go to the workers, the employees, to find out what is happening. We had a meeting with the EMA only last week. Today we meet with forestry, tomorrow we meet with drainage, and we go through this exercise. We want everybody to understand and appreciate the expanse and extent and the necessity for integration of this ministry and the necessity for planning that integration on the way forward.
He says while great emphasis will be paid on the well-being of the employees, a main priority of the ministry remains on the state of the environment and the water resources.
This conversation we started is going to continue until all your problems are solved. But we have a larger mandate to solve the problem of the society, the problem of the degradation of the environment, which impacts upon our water resources and which impacts upon the quality of life which we currently enjoy and which we will leave as a legacy for the generations to come.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
That's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited at the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.